Have you ever done something you thought was a great idea at the time, but ended up being a disaster? When I was 19, I stole a Blockbuster card with the intent of renting video games and never returning them. It turned out the account I stole it from had late fees of over $60, which I ended up paying, and didn't have enough money left to rent anything. That backfire ended my career as a criminal mastermind, and NFL squads have been no stranger to moves that they thought were great ideas at the time and ended up being huge mistakes that cost them dearly. Today we're going to look at every NFL team's biggest backfire, part 1, coming up right after this. Let me ask you something. On Thanksgiving Day, right after you chow down on turkey and catch up with your family, what do? Okay, real quick, a backfire can be a play, a trade, a draft pick, anything a team thought was a good idea and ended up blowing up in their face like Johnny Sins. And don't act like you don't know who that is. Also, this is organized by random division, this time listed here. And don't fret if your team isn't on here, part 2 will have the rest of the squads. Hiring Ryan Grigson as the Colts GM, a man who urinating tree referred to as the embodiment of the Dunning-Kruger effect, had lasting bad effects on a team that was heading upwards when he was brought in. Everything was coming up Millhouse as the inexperienced Grigson and the Colts made the AFC Championship game. Then it all got greasier than his hair as the air ran out of the Colts faster than, well, you know. After a disastrous trade for Trent Richardson, another immense backfire, the fans grew uneasy. Grigson was fired after an 8-8 season in 2016 and now works for the Seahawks in exchange for hair gel. Not many people remember this, but when Bud Adams moved the team to Tennessee, he tried to stash them in Memphis for a season. Playing in the Liberty Bowl was a disaster, as Nashville is another planet away from Memphis, and the Memphisians knew that they were just a side chick until the Titans would leave. After a year, they went to play at Vandy Stadium, then finally moved into Nissan in 1999. Obligatory 1-yard short reference. So whose idea was it to pay Brock Osweiler $72 million over 4 years with $37 million of it guaranteed? You can blame former GM Rick Smith for that epic backfire, as Suckweiler only played one season with the Texans and threw 16 picks to 15 TDs. To make up for their bad move, the Texans had to gift the Browns a second-round pick so someone would take his cap hit, who they used to take Nick Chubb, a move even the Browns couldn't mess up.
Bad things.
Let's look at what sexy versus practical gets you in the draft. And these aren't even their worst picks. Yo Gabba Gabbert when JJ Watt was on the board. Good job, Gene Smith. More backfires than a used car lot. Beloved in Chicago, this man's name can't be mentioned in New Orleans without a few cuss words in the middle. Mike Ditka started things off in 1997 with back-to-back 6-10 seasons and then traded an entire draft for Bud-loving Rick Williams. And once it was obvious the team was a total dumpster fire, the overpaid Ditka admitted in a press conference that he didn't have it anymore.
You thinking about
Yes.
getting out?
Yes. I don't have it anymore. No, I wouldn't quit right now. But if I was fired, I'd quit right now. Other than that, I would quit right now. I have no...
After 3 seasons and a 15-33 record, Ditka was shown the door. Ricky Williams still probably loves that weed though.
Smoke weed every day.
A move that has absolutely nothing to do with on-field activity. Jerry Richardson's love of women's butts and tight jeans and leveraging his power as an owner cost him his entire franchise. According to many, Friday around the Panthers' offices was Jeans Day, in which all employees were required to wear denim, and Jerry would make overt sexist remarks about what he saw. On top of that, he was writing sexually charged notes to female employees and threw in a racist remark about one of his scouts. Yes, that word. He sold the franchise for $2.5 billion. You know this is coming. 3 kneel downs and a field goal and you are world champs. Sorry, it can't be forgiven. I won't let it go. It's one of the biggest backfires of all time. And call me unoriginal, I don't care. The phrase $1 million arm and 10-cent head has never been more appropriately applied to anyone other than famous Jameis and his turnover bakery. Now, you can't blame the desperate Bucs for taking Winston with the #1 overall pick in a draft that was about as deep as an Instagram model's personality for QBs, but what has backfired has been their willingness to put up with his ridiculous antics combined with his lack of production. Let's see, stealing soda, stealing crab legs, yelling FHRITP on a table at his alma mater, and groping an Uber driver. All of that for 74 TDs and 50 INTs in 4 seasons. Have fun drafting another QB in 2019. This is an organization that rarely screws up, at least that's the perception. So when they decided they would avoid last year's anthem fiasco by not coming out onto the field, surely that would diffuse the situation. Oh, but they forgot that they employ an actual military veteran, and damn if he is going to just stand in a tunnel when the anthem is being played. That wasn't a PR nightmare or anything, was it? Also letting James Harrison walk and playing in the Super Bowl while allowing Blake freaking Bortles shred you like an industrial recycler gets an honorable mention when you completely overlook the Jags and even boasted about matching up with the Pats in the playoffs. Loyalty is something you can't put a price on, but it sure does come with a cost, as the Ravens have clearly overpaid Joe Flacco for 1 year of magic. After winning them a ring, the Ravens gave Flacco $120 million for 6 years. This offseason they re-upped for 3 years, $66 million, with a huge cap hit, each over $24 million a year. Then they responded by drafting Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson, who fans have been clamoring for since week 1. He's now starting and won his debut and is second on the team in rushing attempts. That also seems like a great idea. Everybody wants to point to the QB jersey as a failure of the past, but it looks like they finally solved that one for now.
I woke up feeling dangerous.
What hasn't been solved is your petulant owner hiring and firing coaches every year. On top of that, the puzzling move of keeping Hugh Jackson after going 0-16 and then firing him this year after winning 2 games and a tie, the most wins and non-wins in 3 seasons. We'll see what you do this offseason. I mean, Condoleezza Rice seems like a valid consideration. And now the opposite of the Browns coaching carousel, this team doesn't know when to let go, as they have held on to Marvin Lewis with a grip tighter than a married man with internet access and private browsing. Year after year of backfire goodness, as Mike Brown shoves his chips all in on Marvin and says let it ride, and his 15-year tenure has produced an 0-7 playoff record. And speaking of backfires, Vontez, we still had more game to go, buddy. I flat guarantee Lewis is back next year. The dude is more indestructible than Boris the Blade.
Apparently, it's just impossible to kill the bastard.
It's hard to boil down a backfire to a single play, but this one is so damn stupid it has to make the list. On November 19th, 1978, the Giants were leading the Eagles 17-12 and the clock was running. All QB Joe Pisarcik had to do was take a snap and fall down and the game was over. Instead, he saw that as a bitch move and attempted a handoff to Larry Zonka and fumbled the ball during the exchange, and then Herman Edwards played to win the game. That really happened. A few things to note: the QB kneel wasn't accepted as a play until 1987. Usually quarterbacks had to get tackled or take a dive to run out the clock. So Pisarcik was both stupid and a wuss. When Dan Snyder bought the team in 1999, the trophy case for the off-season championships was brought in, and before the 2002 season, the first banner was raised with Steve Spurrier's name embroidered in burgundy and gold. Luring the old ball coach from Florida wasn't hard, as the 5-year, $25 million contract was the largest ever for a coach at the time. They were going to pitch it. They were going to catch it. They were going to bring in players who knew the offense. Danny Werfel, Chris Duran. Ah yes, this would end well. 12-20 record in 2 seasons. Good one, Danny boy. Sue me. Signing Terrell Owens in 2004 was brilliant. He had 14 TDs. The Eagles made the Super Bowl, in which he played his ass off with a broken leg. T.O. had never been more valuable. What the Eagles didn't know was that the friction between the Diva and their QB Donovan McNabb would backfire into a series of mistakes that might have damaged the franchise for over a decade. After a bitter negotiation that brought Owens back to Philly in 2005, the level of publicity around McNabb and T.O. reached a head in Week 11, when after Owens fought a teammate, he threw public barbs at McNabb and ended up being suspended by the team, never to return. The fallout from this sent the Eagles season into a downward spiral, as they only won 6 games that year. They would have some success under McNabb in the years to come, but the Eagles would always go full Reed. And finally, for part 1, the Dallas Cowboys. A team that T.O. went to also had a prima donna receiver, and their biggest backfire hurts badly because in all scenarios, it was exactly the right thing to do. And it still ended in disaster, not just for the Cowboys, but for the entire NFL. You know it's coming, but you have to look at what led up to this moment. Trailing 26-21 in the fourth quarter of the NFC divisional round, the Cowboys were moving the ball. However, deep into Packer territory, they faced a 4th and 2. Despite having DeMarco Murray on the squad, the Clapper went with an empty backfield, and Tony Romo got the look he wanted. Dez in one-on-one coverage by much smaller Sam Shields. He made the right call with a ballsy throw, and Dez caught it, but he didn't. After a challenge successfully overturned the catch, the Packers got the ball. What a lot of people forget, though, is that there was over 4 minutes left in the game, and the Cowboys had 2 timeouts left. It was far from over, but after a couple first downs, it was over. The fallout from the play being overturned ended up having lasting effects up until last year, when the catch rule was finally changed, and had it happened today, it would have counted. Yep, we've seen this movie before. Well, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of every NFL team's backfires. Don't worry, if you didn't see your team on here, please join me for part 2 coming soon. And absolutely do not forget to click the link down below and go to MyBookie for your Turkey Day free play, where again, you don't need a promo code, just deposit and bet the spread on the Bears-Lions game this Thanksgiving Day. If you win, you win. If you lose, you're credited back the money. Absolutely 0 risk. Damn, son. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.